What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lex Alexis. Today we are covering some championship score predictions for match day 23, officially the halfway stage of the championship, which is really exciting to me that we're already going to be halfway through after this game week. And I'm feeling festive. Merry Christmas to all of you guys as well. I'm enjoying a little bit of time off work now and just kind of recharging my batteries. And maybe, just fingers crossed, I might be able to get some more content out in this short period of break as well. So keep your eyes peeled for your this channel, because there could be some more stuff on the horizon. It's normal business as resumed. If you predict the championship games, your predictions will be counted towards the Leicester Alexis Football Prediction League, which there will be an update very soon. I'm still catching up on calculating your scores. For the Premier League, we have got Premier League games, including the Premier League game tonight. So if you guys want to get your predictions for that, they're on the left-hand side of the screen right now. I'm predicting them for a little bit of fun. The Premier League games won't count towards the Prediction League, but you can always predict the Premier League games if you like, just for a tiny bit of fun. If you guys enjoy what you see, please smash the like button. It really does help the growth of this channel when you do that. Please hit the subscribe button if you've not done so. It really does help the growth of this channel. We're slowly but surely climbing our way, getting ever closer to 2,250 subs, which will be absolutely amazing. And please, guys, share the channel too, because this really does help. And for a like target, let's go for 50 likes. I think that'll be a great target. But without any further ado, let's start predicting match day 23. So we start off with Bristol City going up against Hull City. Both of these teams have picked up a win in their last game. So Bristol City were very impressive, and they actually managed to pick up a 1-0 win against Sunderland. Maybe a little bit against the odds a bit, but it's Tommy Conway that managed to pick up the only goal in that game. And it was a little bit more of a frustrating game for Sunderland, because they definitely had the larger spells, and it really only came from a penalty for Bristol City, to be fair. So other than that, the game was quite flat, and it was more or less just disappointing for Sunderland's point of view that they really couldn't break anything across. And despite Tommy Conway scoring pretty early on in the game, Sunderland did not muster enough time to get a goal, let alone a result in this game. Hull definitely won more convincingly than Bristol City. Didn't need to rely on a penalty to do so. They dismantled Cardiff by 3-0, where Cardiff in the moment, their form, they're struggling with their form, but I'll talk about that in more detail later. And we had 3 different goal scorers as well. Aaron Connolly, Scott Twine is starting to really improve his form. I'm really pleased he's now starting to have a good run of games in the Championship. And Ozan Tufan on the score sheet as well. Going into this game, I back Hull City more likely to have more firepower than Bristol City, I've got to be honest. I think since Liam Manning has joined, whilst he's shown promise in some home games, it has been a little bit inconsistent at this moment in time. Hull currently sit in 6th place at the moment, so I think they're more likely that they will get a result out of this. As a prediction, I think I'm going to back Hull City for a 2-1 away victory. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I do think Hull have got the firepower, and especially with their attacking threat, I think that will be the difference within this game. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. The other game that's going to take place in the Championship tomorrow is Swansea versus Preston. So both Swansea and Preston in kind of like a lower part of the table, or less, having really poor form actually. Preston, definitely not in the lower bits of the table, but their form would suggest that their form is really not that encouraging at this moment of time. I think they picked up 2 wins in their last 13 games, I think it was. So their form under Ryan Lowe as of late has not been entirely promising, and I can definitely sense that there is a little bit of impatience now growing with the fans for Preston as well. Swansea, they are still waiting to confirm a new permanent manager. I mean, knowing my luck, they may have confirmed a new manager as I started recording this video, but at this moment in time, they're one of 2 sides who are still looking for a permanent manager. So this will be interesting to see what sort of managerial merry-go-round will develop going into this set of games coming up. So for Swansea, they lost their last game. So Swansea lost out to Middlesbrough at home by 2-1. Preston have got a big response to make, because they lost out by 5-1 against Watford, which is why Ryan Lowe is under a lot of pressure. Preston took the lead in that game as well, but they were absolutely blown away, especially in that second half. Watford just really took the game away from any sort of chance that Preston had going into this one, and it all really came down to them conceding a late equaliser before half time, and maybe if they held the lead for a little bit, maybe they had a better chance. But it was shocking, really. You know, within 7 minutes, Watford found themselves with a 2-goal advantage in the second half. So Preston definitely did not set themselves out correctly in that second half. And going into this game here, both teams struggling for form at the moment. Swansea winless in their last 5. I'm going to back neither team to get a result, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, actually. I think both his teams will get a draw, which for both would be pretty unhelpful with their positions in the table. You never know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Leeds Ipswich. So a lot of Ipswich fans are very nervous for this game, which I am completely understand for. Leeds are the only team to pick up all 3 points at Portman Road. It's only been Norwich last weekend where any other team has actually managed to get away with anything or prevent Ipswich getting 3 points at Portman Road. So fair play to Norwich for managing to achieve that, but it's only been Leeds that have been successful in defeating Ipswich at home. And this reverse fixture here is going to be absolutely massive because Leeds at this moment in time are 10 points behind Ipswich. If they close the gap to 7, then the gap doesn't really look as daunting as it does for Leeds to potentially catch up within the top 2. But if Ipswich win, would extend that gap to 13 points. And then it's really down to Southampton to see if they can keep up with the chasing pack with Ipswich and Leicester at this moment in time. So this is when the crunch games are really going to start popping through, and right now there's very little room for error, especially for Leeds and Southampton especially. So as a prediction here, this is really tough. Obviously Ipswich coming off the back of that draw against Norwich, Jonathan Rowe having an amazing game for Norwich. For Leeds, they had a frustrating draw with Coventry, which definitely sparked some tensions afterwards. So both teams will be wanting 3 points here, and I'm going to go for a Leeds win. Typically, if I do predict against Ipswich, they prove me wrong, and that's what might happen here. But I just have a feeling Leeds may bring their A game here. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Leeds. I just have this feeling that it may be the team to get a result. Let me know what you think, however, in the comments down below. So now we're going to go to the 3 o'clock game. So let's actually go now with Blackburn versus Watford. Okay, so Blackburn have got a lot to answer to. They lost by 4-0 against Southampton. And they had Callum Britton sent off as well. I did not know if they appealed or if they were successful with their appeal for Callum Britton. But if he's missing for this game, then it's not going to be ideal. Watford are going into this game with a new lease of confidence, putting 5 goals past Preston. And right now, this form is definitely encouraging for Watford. Only 1 defeat in their last 5 games, which has seen them spark into the top 10. And if they carry on with this form, they could very well go into that top 6 if they do carry this form up. And honestly, here's a prediction. I can really see this being quite entertaining. Now, that's probably what I thought last time. And I remember Blackburn won like with the last kick of the game, and it was a bit of a smash and grab. I think if I'm going to back like a heavy scoring game again, I'm going to be right one way or another. So I'm going to be stubborn in my ways, and I'm going to say this will be an entertaining game. And I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I just have a feeling that Blackburn could put a couple of goals past this Watford side. But I think Watford have got that determination, and I think things are starting to click going forward for them. So that's why I think there'll be goals, and I think there'll be 4. So I'm going to go for 2-2 here. Know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Leicester versus Rotherham. It is literally top versus bottom of the championship. And goodness me, I mean, 55 points plays against 13 points within the table. If you do the maths there, that's at least 4 times more points that Leicester have compared to Rotherham here. Leicester have gone into this game with a win against Birmingham. A bit sneaky in the way that it turned out to be. It looked like it was going to be a bit more comfortable than it was. Birmingham did make a little bit of a fight out of it. Rotherham, they also had a bit of a fight out of it, but they're in the wrong end of a 3-2 game. This time it was against Plymouth, and I gotta say, Daniel Ayala, that's his 2nd red card, I swear, in about 4 or 5 matches. I don't know what's going on with Daniel Ayala, because he's an experienced player, and I've called this out before, that just at times you've got experienced players in these squads just having stupidity and making these really rash decisions which are really putting the club in peril. And right now, it's definitely a moment that's really going to bring the team down. And Rotherham battled, considering they were down to 10 men, but Plymouth just had enough energy to edge past them in the end. And honestly, I think against Leicester, are really starting to almost cruise through the season at the moment. They could be on 58 points if they pick up all 3 points here. And honestly, I think it's going to match their reverse result, which was a 3-1 away victory. I'm going to go for a 3-1 home victory as well. I think it'll still be relatively comfortable. I think Rotherham could potentially be a little bit improved, but I still back Leicester to get the job done. Mafadivi, by the way, what a player he is. And I think he will definitely be on the score sheet again going into this game. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Middlesbrough versus West Brom. Now, this game, I'm really intrigued to see the outcome, because you've got West Brom, a team pretty comfortably within the top 6 at this moment. They've got a 3-point gap from Sunderland, who are just outside of the top 6 as it stands. Then they are facing a Middlesbrough side who they'll be desperate to get to the top 6 themselves, and they are 6 points out of it. So Middlesbrough really need to win, I think, to really have a strong chance of having the form and the momentum to propel themselves into that position. A defeat here will really be a bit of a blow, and the Middlesbrough do want to get into the top 6, but teams that they need to pick up these 3 points against are against teams that they will be wanting to compete in that region of the table. Now, they did pick up a win pretty recently at away from home, actually, against Swansea, and going into that game, they were struggling. They had 3 defeats in a row, 3 tough teams in Hull, Ipswich, of course, so they definitely had a tough run in, but it was definitely one of those periods where Middlesbrough were definitely slowing down their form. They had a great response out of it in the end. And I think going into this game, whilst West Brom have been alright, they have shown that they could drop the odd point now and again. They dropped 2 more points against Stoke City, where they probably shouldn't have, to be quite fair. Going into this game, I think this will be a draw between these two sides. I just have a funny feeling that both these sides will cancel each other out. I'm going to therefore go for a 1-1 draw. I think it's going to be a draw between these two sides. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Norwich versus Huddersfield. So, Norwich came round from that Ipswich game celebrating like you wouldn't believe it. And honestly, it means they still extend their unbeaten run against Ipswich, which was ultimately what they really wanted to set out. And they may feel quite disappointed they didn't get 3 points, actually, because they did have periods of the game where they led, actually, when they were 2-1 up, actually. So they were in a commanding position at one stage, and Jonathan Rowe really dragging Norwich through the heels, actually, to get their heads above water. But Ipswich did fight back, to be fair, showing how strong they've been all season. So Norwich, I've got to say, I've picked up some positive results quite recently. They've not lost in the last 4 games, which is encouraging. Huddersfield have got a lot of pressure on their hands. They're only 2 points clear of QPR. They actually gained 1 point distance from the bottom 3 since QPR lost against Sheffield Wednesday, and Huddersfield managed to get a draw in their game against Millwall. But you would argue that Huddersfield would have really wanted to get 3 points against Millwall, considering they are also a team in that region of the lower part of the table. I do think against Norwich it's going to be very tough for them to get a result based on Norwich's form at the moment. And as a prediction, honestly, I think it's going to be a Norwich win. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to the Canaries. I think they're the most likely team to get a result. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now to a game I'm really intrigued. Plymouth versus Birmingham. So if you didn't hear the news, Plymouth have lost their manager, Steven Schumacher. He has joined Stoke City halfway through the season. So a bit of a bombshell moment, and it's definitely not an ideal situation for Plymouth to be in. But I actually don't think it will derail them as much as most people may expect, to be fair. I do think it's a big loss, but I do think a lot of that squad is, you know, almost that same squad that, you know, Ryan Lowe had, for instance, and all they needed was a new name just to galvanise everyone together, and I think they were still fine. I still think a lot of Plymouth's success has been down to the players, and ultimately they now got to prove themselves with whoever steps in. I know Paul Cook's being linked at the moment, which I think is a very peculiar choice. Birmingham, going into this game, they actually fought really hard against Leicester and actually were in the game for good periods of it. Jordan James actually with 2 goals for Birmingham, so definitely he'd be one that I'll be wanting to keep my eye on if he's playing in this game here. I've got to say, as a prediction, since Plymouth have lost their manager, but also with the amount of fight that they've shown in their home games especially, I think Plymouth actually might get a result here. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Plymouth. I think they could squeak a result. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I just have a very funny feeling they might bounce back here. Next game to predict is QPR versus Southampton. So QPR need a response because they had a terrible defeat against Sheffield Wednesday. It's been one of their worst defeats they've had so far since Cifuentes has taken over as QPR boss. It does mean that QPR are still within the bottom 3. But as I mentioned previously, they're only 2 points behind Huddersfield, but also Millwall as well. So QPR have really closed the gap, which I'm really pleased that they've managed to do so, and they've given themselves a fighting chance. Southampton, however, will be thinking that they've got a massive opportunity here. You've got Leeds and Ipswich playing against each other, so Southampton could have a good opportunity to make some ground from 3rd and 2nd place within the Championship, especially if they pick up 3 points here. But their last 2 away games have come into 2 draws for Southampton. So they've been dropping a couple of leadness points away from home. And honestly, I think with the way that QPR have been playing, I think this could be another scenario where Southampton could drop points here. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, which will be pretty unhelpful for Southampton. QPR would find it a little bit unhelpful as well, as they definitely would use this game as a good opportunity to get themselves to the bottom 3. So both teams definitely would want to win, but maybe that could also mean that they cancel each other out as a result. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Sheffield Wednesday versus Cardiff. Is the great escape on for Sheffield Wednesday? I mean, quite possible. 3 wins in their last 4 games has propelled Sheffield Wednesday to 16 points, only 6 points away from getting out of the bottom 3, unbelievably. If you get QPR, Huddersfield, Millwall, Stoke not winning their games, which can be possible this weekend, honestly, Sheffield Wednesday will be really encouraged, especially if they pick up 3 points here. And they're facing a Cardiff side where, honestly, their form has completely tanked. 4 defeats in their last 5 games. So Sheffield Wednesday should be looking at this game, licking their lips, thinking this is a really good opportunity here. Now, they did have to battle against QPR after going from behind to beat them in the end. But the fact that they're even showing this desire, this determination to get 3 points even when they get kicked down and manage to overcome a comeback. It was Musaba actually who scored in the 94th minute to give all 3 points to Sheffield Wednesday. And honestly here, I'm actually rocking with this Sheffield Wednesday survival. I think this will be an amazing achievement for Danny Röhl if he can pull this off. And as a prediction, I'm going to go 2-1 Sheffield Wednesday. I think they'll carry on with their upturn in form. And I've not predicted Sheffield Wednesday to win in almost at all this season. So I definitely want to give them a little bit of a time to shine here. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Sheffield Wednesday. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Stoke versus Millwall. What a crucial game this is. You've got 19th versus 20th place in the table. Stoke have also got a new manager in, and as you may have heard based on what I was previewing with Plymouth, they have taken Steven Schumacher. And I've got to be honest, there's a lot of new managers. There's actually one more managerial appointment that I will be speaking about after this game. But this is going to be the first game for Steven Schumacher as Stoke boss. I honestly wish him the best of luck. I think it's going to be a really tough job. For what we've seen with Stoke, it has felt like a bit of a poison challenge for established managers. It's a very difficult project, and I do think Stoke, it has to be a long-term project if you're going to get them to get long-term and good results. They're facing the Mills side though, where they're struggling to pick up wins themselves. They are winless in their last 5, only picked up 2 points in their last 4 games since they got their new manager Joe Edwards in. So at this moment of time, I'm a bit nervy with Mill at the moment. They're not looking like that they are improving anytime soon. And what's been the biggest issue for Millwall for me is just the lack of goals. They can definitely create some chances, but I do find a lot of the time they just cannot kill teams off. And as a result of this, I think it's going to be very difficult for Millwall. And maybe we could get a winning start for Steven Schumacher, new manager bounce potentially, but for some strange reason, I think both teams will be quite nervy going into this game. And as a prediction, therefore, I'm going to go for a very unhelpful 1-1 draw. I think we could see a situation where it could even end 0-0, to be fair. But I'm going to go for both teams to score. Bit nervy. Wouldn't want anything to go against them. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Never know what you think in the comments down below. The final game to predict for the Championship this weekend is Sunderland versus Coventry. So this is the latest and the last new managerial addition for this weekend. Michael Beale is now officially the new Sunderland boss. And definitely I've heard better reactions to managerial appointments than I heard when Michael Beale was announced. I think the issue is that Sunderland had in their minds that they were able to attract Will Steele. And he's definitely been one of the most exciting young managers. And I think just to go from Will Steele thinking you're going to get him to Michael Beale, I think for a lot of Sunderland fans felt a bit of a kick in the teeth. And I do think a lot of the times you forget how well he did in the Championship before he took the ambitious move to go to Rangers and it didn't all work out for him. So I honestly wish him the best of luck. It's a big job for Michael Beale considering how much of a letdown he was at Rangers, sadly. Coventry will be going into this game probably feeling a little bit better about themselves. They're picking more consistent results now, only one defeat in the last 5, which was against Ipswich Town actually, which was definitely a game where they actually played very well for a good portion of it. So I do think the performances are improving for Coventry, and now slowly but surely the results are too. Going into this game, I think it's going to be very tight actually. I think both sides will be eager to get a result. I could see a draw happening here, but I'm going to go for Sunderland to actually get a good result with Michael Beale to start things off. I think Sunderland at home have actually picked up a lot more points. So I'm really pleased that the Stadium of Light is now starting to churn out more consistent results for that home crowd. I'm going to go for 1-0 victory to Sunderland. As I said, I think it will be very, very tight, not many goals, but I think that is how the game will pan out. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. So guys, these are my predictions for the Championship for this weekend now done. As I've said, you can always predict the Championship games in the comments down below, and that will mean that your points go towards the prediction league as well. So this will probably be the last video before Christmas, depending on my schedule. I'm still figuring out what I'm going to do with that, but if I don't upload before Christmas, have a Merry Christmas. You'll definitely see me again very soon because we've got a really short turnaround of games. So keep your eyes peeled for this channel. If you guys enjoyed, please smash the like button. Please, it really does help the growth of this channel. Please do hit the subscribe button too. And please share the channel too. All 3 of these things are free to do, and they really do help the growth of this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.